Hi and welcome to Lois and Morgana Davidson Art. It's Lois here and today I'm going to show you my new watercolour sketchbook. This month I've been putting together some of my sketches where I've been really trying to break through painter's block. Again, inspired by the amazing artist Louise Fletcher. I shall leave a link to her YouTube channel below. And because I've been finding her approach so inspiring, I've joined her art community. So I'm using these new sketchbooks to record a lot of my experiments and my ideas, to kind of sort of shake things up a bit and see what happens. And I'll be showing you today my sketchbook and how I put my sketchbook together, how I record my thoughts, and also notes about the colours that I used or any specific new techniques that I tried to get the effects that I'm recording here. The reason for this is so that when I look back, I can use these ideas as inspiration for new paintings. And it's a really good way, it's a really interesting, exciting way of recording progress in your watercolour journey and really saving up all these things that you do, these experiments and sketches for inspiration for future work. So the sketchbook that I'm using for this is a square format, which is really nice and very different for me. And it's by Seawhite of Brighton. It's an all-media, acid-free cartridge paper sketchbook. It's 140 grams weight, so a reasonable weight. It's sized for extra wet strength, which makes it really suitable for not only sticking in my sketches, but also for working in directly, which I've started doing. And I'll show you a bit of that later on. It's just over 7.5 inches square, or 19.5 centimetres square, and there are 95 pages. I'll put the details in the description below if you're interested. It's got a nice strong black board cover which helps to protect all the sketches inside. A nice working sketchbook. So let's take a look inside. So the first thing is the date, May 2023. I always like to date my sketchbooks. I think that's quite important because then you can kind of, if you refer back to them, you can see when you were involved in doing certain types of work and how your work has changed over the years. And then next is Abstract Landscape Explorations 1. So it's going to be my first book this year of exploring these kinds of themes. And then at the bottom of the page on the left, I've got the title of this sketch or study, which is The South Downs Way. And I've recorded the colours and the materials that I've used here: sepia, indigo, burnt sienna, sap green and some fine liner, and it was done on Milford cold pressed paper. So by recording these details, I know the materials that I used, the colours and the texture of paper that I used, if I want to explore this theme further and try and paint something that has a similar sort of feeling to the mark making and the washes. And I've been doing an awful lot of these kind of practices, a little bit like there's a couple of demos which I'll link to below showing you how I make these small abstract landscape studies. And so the idea is to pick out the ones that I really like and to collect them and stick them into these sketchbooks. You can see I've got quite a lot here. There's some really small ones, some larger ones that will go into larger sketchbooks. These small ones, some of them are quite pretty. I quite like them. There's marks and there's washes and colour combinations there that I really, really like. So they will go into another smaller sketchbook, again, with records of the sort of colour notes that I've used. Putting these sorts of sketches into sketchbooks or albums like this is a great way of kind of saving ideas, keeping inspiration for times when you've got painter's block again or something like that and you're not sure what to paint. You can look through your sketchbook and it can give you some great ideas and sort of get you going again if you're not sure what to paint. And of course, all the time you're experimenting like this with your own work, you are developing your own unique style. So let's have a quick look through the sketchbook at a few of the sketches that I've already put in there. And again, you can see here just small, simple, expressive sketches, just ideas that I've had that I've put down on the page and then cut out, and colour notes, a bit of information that I've written about them. The same again here, trying out different colours, different sort of mark making techniques, trying to get different atmospheres and ideas, and just writing that down, just writing down ideas about where I think the location is. Like this is Cuckmere Haven, and on the right side, this sort of in portrait format, this little study here reminds me of the seawall at Cuckmere Haven. The marks here sort of evoke that structure and the wildness of the landscape, which is why I've noted that in the sketchbook. And these sky studies have got sort of a real energy and depth of sort of storm clouds to them. So I've recorded that and kept that, and they will be colour notes again and ideas for me to hopefully try out for larger paintings at a later date. And a larger study of the Devil's Dyke. Now here I've drawn directly or painted directly into the sketchbook on the sketching paper here with ink and a bit of watercolour, and produced these more sort of urban style landscapes. So I'm not just sticking stuff in, I'm drawing and painting directly into the sketchbook as well. And these are painted directly into the sketchbook too. I'm not sure what these are. It's a mark making exercise. And the fun thing about all this work here is none of it has been made with a painting or an end result in mind. It's all experimentation. It's playing with paint and ideas and just sort of seeing what happens when you just mess around in a sketchbook or on a piece of paper, maybe the back of an old painting, without putting pressure on yourself to achieve anything. This is how you discover really exciting and interesting and unique effects that you can use in your own work that then helps to keep your work different and unique. Sorry that my hands are a little bit grubby. I've been working with ink and it really does stain my hands and fingernails. So this is the demo that I did last week. I'll try and remember to link to that in the description below if you want to see how I did it. And I'm now going to cut this up and decide which of these little experiments I want to keep in the sketchbook. So it's just a matter of dividing up each little panel, having a look at them, and then working out which ones I like, and which ones that I'm less keen on. And the ones that I'm less keen on, I'll just keep in my pile, maybe use them for something later on. But these ones, the ones that I choose, I'll stick into the sketchbook and write up the same sort of information, colour notes, ideas, what I was trying to express, all that sort of thing. This one top right, I'm going to put in a larger format book because I really like it, and so it's going into a larger one. But a few of these have got really interesting marks and washes, so they'll go in the book. So I've clipped my page so it's held nice and flat, and then I'm just going to try the 4 that I've selected on the pages just to see how they look, and then I will simply glue them into place. So the glue that I'm using is 3-in-1 Advanced Craft Glue by Beacon. I think you can find it online. I'll try and remember to put that in the description below as well. And I'm just squeezing out a line of it all around the outside of my little mini painting, my experiment, maybe a bit across the middle. And then, of course, I'll just lay it onto the paper, make sure it's sort of nice and straight, nice and sort of horizontal to the edges. Press it down. And then do exactly the same for the second one. And then once they're both in place, I'm just going to take a piece of just clean printer paper and put it over the paintings so I can press them down really hard to make sure that they've stuck nice and firmly. And now I just need to record some information about them before I forget. And so the colours that I used here were cerulean blue, burnt sienna, sepia and indigo. So I'm just going to make a note of the colours, then I can repeat these colour combinations if I want to do a painting that uses these same sort of colour notes. And then I can just add a little bit more information if I want to, just any thoughts that I have about the painting. And I think what I like about these is that they are spontaneous and fresh, and that there's plenty of little pops of unpainted paper in the sky. So I'm going to record that because that's what I really liked about the skies. And over on the the right side, I really like the interesting diffusions of paint. So I'm just going to remind myself that that's something that I really enjoyed, the way that happened. And then I'm also going to write down that I used a flat brush to get that sort of thin feathering through the sky, because that's given a really nice sense of depth and distance to the sky. And then the final thing that I'm going to note is that I used a palette knife to scrape out the texture in the land. So that's a quick look at my landscape sketchbook so far. I've got more sketchbooks on the go because I've got quite a lot of work that I'm doing at the moment on all sorts of different projects. And keeping these separate sketchbooks helps me to keep the projects more organised, and I can just decide which project I want to sort of dip in and out of and just look through the books for some inspiration. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and if you keep a similar sort of sketchbook yourself, or if you're thinking of trying something like this, I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much to everyone that supports us on Patreon. So have a lovely week, and I'll see you again soon, and happy painting. Bye.